Welcome to the Almost Above Average podcast. I'm Chris McIntyre, your host, and today we have a special guest on the show, the creative mind behind the AWfL Clothing Line, Lonnie Doyle. Join us as we dive into the world of fashion, sustainability, and creativity with the visionary behind AWfL. Let's go now to that
At home, everything's good, chilling, working on a couple other things. And then I get a text from somebody like, why isn't the website coming up? So I look at it, and when you try to pull it up, it would say, we're currently doing a couple updates. Like a little screen comes up. It doesn't just 404 crash. It says it's like there's some maintenance being done, right?
Right.
So I start looking into it. I reach out to a couple people that can help out, and we figure out that it went into basically what's called maintenance mode. So we're trying to figure out what the cause of that was. It was a couple updates it needed, and we're all good. Got back on. I wanted to give it some time and make sure that it kept refreshing and the website stayed live before I was finally like, okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Before you walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta handle your responsibilities, son.
Yeah, with my luck, as soon as I stop paying attention to it, I'll get another text. It's still not up. It's down again, but no, we're good. We figured it out. So it was stressful, but I'd say that after figuring it out, it's almost like another tool in the tool belt, right? Add that to my arsenal. So now I know one of the possible causes for situations like that. So yeah.
Little problem solving.
Yeah. You know how it goes, man. How's everything been going with you, dude? I still want to know more about kind of what you're doing for work, kind of full time right now. I know I know that you're kind of working for yourself and kind of doing your own thing, which I'd love to hear that, man. I want to hear more about that. That's what I'm trying to be more about, dude.
Well, for the most part, I mean, right now I'm in a phase where I'm kind of mostly doing the media stuff. But typically how it worked when I got into this job, like I was working two jobs. I was working at Habitat for Humanity and I was working at Domino's. And I just wasn't getting enough money, man. And I had 4 kids. I have 4 kids. And it wasn't doing it. So I was like, man, I got to do something else. I wasn't going to get a third job, So I was looking in. I've heard about sales being a good way to make money.
Absolutely.
And so I ran into this guy about a year ago in AA, and we were, I was sponsoring the guy, and I asked him what he did, and he explained it. He's like, I just go knock on people's doors and inspect the roof, and I get their insurance company to buy the roof. And I was like, that sounds easy. So that was like a year ago, and he went away. I don't even talk to him anymore. And then when this opportunity came up, like I needed money, I needed something else. And I saw that exact job on Indeed, and I was like, gave it a shot and went in for the interview, and he kind of gave me the rundown. Like it was very hard in the beginning because I didn't have any income. I straight up quit and started a commission only job. And then at the same time, me and my ex she wasn't happy because of the money and because she didn't think this was going to be a lucrative type of thing.
Yeah.
So we ended up splitting up. Yeah, it sucked. But I went really, really hard. Yeah. I went really, really hard the first 3-4 months. Like my whole focus was just go knock doors and sign agreements, And it turns out I was relatively good at it. I can talk my way onto a roof pretty easily now. But the process is easy. It's, if there's damage up there, what I do, I get down and we call your insurance company and we file a claim. You sign an agreement saying that I'm going to do all the work. And then we have other guys that all they do is rebut arguments from the insurance company.
Right.
They just dismantle arguments until there's nothing left but to buy the roof. Because if I go up there and I see the damage and I say there's enough, that's enough. And so everybody behind me is like, all right, he saw it. It's there. He has pictures. Let's get this roof bought. And insurance companies, they don't want to
they're kind of in the business of, that's part of the whole business model, whether it's, home insurance, auto insurance. I'd say the one kind of insurance where it's not as much of an issue is obviously life insurance, because there's no rebuting that. I mean, unless there's certain reasons, like I think if there's a suicide inside of 2 years from starting the policy, then that'll negate it. But all that stuff's pretty easy to find out. Yeah, dude. And I hear it's kind of a nightmare a lot of times, even with auto insurance. You think that you're just going to be good. No, man. I mean, they're not in the business of paying out. You know what I mean? They're in
They
the
are
business of
not.
collecting premiums and trying to keep as much of that as possible. So this is interesting because I don't even know the ins and outs of that. And if somebody were to bring it to my attention, like, hey, let's go check your roof out, or I will. Worst
Yeah.
case scenario, I reassure you that your roof's in great shape. If it's not in great shape,
Right.
you understand that your insurance will buy another one, like for you. Now, I'm sure
They
the way a lot
don't.
of that,
That's the thing.
they don't
They don't
want to, but
understand. Yeah.
yeah, they don't. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's still not easy knocking on doors, no matter what you're selling, dude. That takes a little bit of a learning curve and getting comfortable with the concept. You got to get thick skin. You got to get
Yeah.
the courage to be able to do that. But I mean, you as a person, your personality and kind of your presence, you're a big guy, but there's something about you that's kind of like disarming. You're just like you're like
Right.
softly spoken, and just you got a
Yeah.
reassuring aura to you to where I'm sure that like a lot of people are kind of just more willing to be open as soon as they listen to you kind of maybe go through your
Really. Yeah.
elevator pitch on that. So, wow, you
Well,
almost
that's
make it sound
exactly
too
it.
good
So
to be true.
there was a mentor. I had when I was like working in Nevada, I've always been like selected for leadership roles, like things like that. And I had this mentor who I really looked up to. His name was James. And one day, like he kind of dragged me through this company for 12 years to every, level right below him. And he told me one day, he's like, the only reason you're getting this far is because of your personality. And I think it hurt me at the time, but it's been very helpful in everything that I do.
Yeah,
I don't like
absolutely.
employ it deceitfully, but I use it for sure.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
been
use what
helpful.
you got, and I mean, a lot of that's just you, the kind of came natural and just the kind of person you are. But a lot of sales comes down to personality and your ability to be able to portray that. So I wouldn't feel
Right.
bad at all if I was you. I'd be like, cool, man, I got like the main tool. I got this. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
do it. What was the company before that?
I work for Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, and that was kind of
They're a
a
nonprofit. They
right,
just
right, no,
they get furniture and they resell it, and then they use that money to build homes all around the world for families that need it. So it was a really
yeah,
good organization. I loved that. I worked there for the mission. Like I want to help people. At the end of the day, and anything that I'm doing, I want to help somebody. And so that was an opportunity to do that, but they don't pay very much. A nonprofit, and if you got a family, a house, all that kind of shit, it's gonna get pricey real quick. So that's
absolutely.
why I had to leave.
You might get the plug on some stuff though. You're like, hey, before you guys put that in the store, let me get that door.
100%, 100%. I go there all the time, maybe every other week. Like, hey, do you guys got any whatever I'm needing that week?
Right,
You
right.
got a TV? You got to get any roofing tools? What's going on?
There was one of those in Reno actually, and I had gone there a couple times.
Hmm.
I have a partner that has a few properties in Reno. I don't know if I told you about that. And I was living in one of them at the time. We found a renter, so the renter wanted to pay way more than I was for it. So we are going to make some money on it. So we got the renter in there, but ended up getting a leak, a pretty bad leak. It snowed real bad. Well, it's pretty much snowed every winter since I left there, but this particular winter was the winter before I left, and it snowed a bunch. And then it did that thing where the roof had a ton of snow on it, and then the next day is sunny. So that stuff's just melting. It's getting real heavy. It's turning into like that slush stuff. And sure
Yeah.
enough, man, something didn't like it on the roof, and it was just slowly leaking. And then it ended up manifesting on this big bubble that I had to literally take this little handsaw I had and cut like a relief hole just to like let that drain out so I could kind of
Was it
figure it
water or
out
was
from
it
there.
steam? Was it like a steam bubble?
It was water. It was water,
Yeah.
and it was bad. So I had a guy who was going to come in and redo the whole ceiling and make it look good and stuff, but that was going to be a couple weeks and
Yeah.
I had to show the house. And so what I was thinking of doing was getting some sort of vent, like a faux vent. Like, no, this isn't a hole from where the
Just
rain
cover it
just
up, right?
was.
Yeah.
This is like part of the central cooling right here.
Yeah.
But I didn't find
This is an
anything. I didn't
upgrade.
find I didn't find anything that worked. So we kind of just had to wing it. But oh man, the stresses that can come along with that stuff. So yeah, and then when I was in Habitat for Humanity, I didn't find the thing I wanted, but I saw like five other things. Like, I want to get this. Like, this is cool. I could
Yeah.
use this, and this. I wonder if
They're a
there's
really
one of
great
those close to where I'm at.
organization. And they take everything. I'm sure they got some in Oklahoma, don't they?
I'm sure. I'm where I'm at. It's really rural, but we have a city pretty close called Ponca City. It's about 30,000 population. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if they have something like that. The next one close would either be Tulsa, Wichita, maybe Oklahoma City. I'm sure they have a bunch of that stuff. I remember
Yeah.
the first time I learned about Habitat for
They're pretty
Humanity, I didn't
worldwide.
even understand what it really was, but I was doing some sort of school project on Lowe's. I think it was either Lowe's or Home Depot. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they were like the founders of that program or they were just maybe a big donor to that program, but that
They
came up
donate
a
a
few
shit
times.
ton.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's a really cool. It's basically like Salvation Army, but for house stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like a,
that's smart.
yeah. It was fun. Like I really enjoyed it, but eventually you're going to need money. Everyone needs money.
Were you doing that where you live now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I worked there for about a year and I was doing like dominoes at nights for like 6 months and it was terrible. It was horrible. Because
Doing what you got
there's
to
no
do,
time.
man.
With something like this, like it lends itself to all the stuff that I'm trying to do outside of, what we call work. Because I worked really hard for 3 or 4 months and I packed my pipeline as full as I could. And then now I'm
Right.
in a position I can kind of kick back for a little bit. And
Yeah,
so
because it kind of bottlenecks after a while. You're like, you've got so
it
many of
does.
these that are in that process of getting
Yep.
the approval through insurance and stuff like that, that like I can keep
Yeah, the
loading
check the
onto
checks
this,
have
but
already started. So I already turned on the faucet, so it's not going to stop for at least 3 more months. But
nice. That's cool. That's awesome.
yeah, and that was one of the biggest things with this job too, because I was already planning on doing all this stuff, but I never had the time. You know what I mean? So
Right.
when I was in the interview talking about it, and they were kind of pitching that, like you're gonna have time, you're gonna have to work really hard, but you're also gonna have a lot of freedom. You can pick and choose, when and what you do when you do it, and so that was very appealing to me, and it worked out like that. So
Dude,
it's pretty
that is
cool.
so cool. Do
Yeah,
you have to like hold any licenses for that? Or because if you're the
not me
guy on the
personally,
roof that's like the one that's like saying that it needs it,
right?
there has to be like a certain level of credibility, I imagine, or something.
Well, the company has to hold a GC license, so we
Okay, so
have
you're the
we
contractor.
have a few. Yeah, but I don't need to hold anything. We're supposed to hold liability insurance. I should probably do that in case I fall off a roof. But yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully I don't fall off.
I had to get
Shit
on my
gets
roof
sketchy,
last
dude.
weekend. It's funny, dude.
Yeah,
I'm out here by myself, so I just have like a car. I actually have a couple cars. I'm trying to sell one of them, but I'm starting to realize how important it is to like have a truck or at least know somebody with a truck. I had to go
yeah,
rent a U-Haul just to go do a few truck things. One of them was buy a ladder. Actually, went and bought a big, nice ladder that would have
nice.
never fit in my car, or it'd have been ugly by the time I figured it out. It'd be hanging out a window or something.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just went and did that, and I ended up getting up on the roof. I just wanted to clean out my rain gutters,
yeah.
and
You
dude,
actually clean out
just
your own gutters, huh? Way to go, buddy. I love
yeah.
that.
Well, and I could tell that they weren't draining a certain way. You could just look at them, and there's something going on where I don't know if over time the one of the sides just started weighing down a little bit or something. But as soon as I got up there, it hadn't rained for a couple weeks at this point, and there was still one side of it that was just completely flooded, tons of mud and stuff in it.
Yeah,
So I had to get that looked into. So now I got some gutter people coming out. Hopefully, next couple weeks. I think I'm gonna have to
put some guards on
get that
there.
all. Yeah, something lift it a little bit because it's not even making it over on the front of the house. It's not even making it over to where it's going to come down the little down part on there. It just
Yeah,
sits. I'm like,
you
dude,
got
that
a
can't be
pool up
good.
there.
Yeah, dude, I had to freaking scoop a bunch of stuff. Brand new, nice ladder. And it's all getting
Yeah.
dirty and muddy. I'm like, God, dude, there's no easy way to do this, is there? But at one point, I got actually up on the roof, and I've got my little leaf blower and a broom, and I was trying to make life easy. And just standing on that roof, my roof's not crazy, just kind of your
Yeah,
traditional angle. And just
yeah,
standing on that, it's like, dude, I do not feel sure-footed.
yeah. It's
Like
sketchy. We
dude,
have
it takes
special
some
boots
getting
though.
comfortable.
We have these boots. They're called Cougar Paws, and they're standard in the roofing industry. But they have these thick pads on the bottom of them that are made like of a thicker foam, so they grip really well on asphalt shingles.
They
So
grip that
that's very
texture.
helpful. And then another secret that we use is old couch cushions. Like you take
Really?
the cover off the thick part of the couch where you sit. You
Yeah.
take the cover off, and the foam on that it really grips the the roof. So
Really?
you can use it as, you can kind of put it on the roof and pull yourself up with it.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Every time you see a roofing crew out there, there'll be a bunch of couch cushions on the roof, but they
Okay.
work hella good. They work hella
Hey,
good. And the
tried and
gutters you
true,
were talking
industry
about,
proven.
yeah. And that's where a lot of the money, most of the money in this job, like I can get the roof. There's good money in the roof for me personally, but the big money comes from, like, now you got a contractor in your house. So what else do you want? Like, you want me to build you a kitchen? You want me to knock a wall down? What do you want? You want skylights? You want a back porch? That's where the big money comes in. Because a lot of these homeowners, they just don't know a contractor. They don't, have access to one. So it's like, while you're in there, you're like, hey, what else do you want to do in here?
Yeah, they're already here. They already got all the equipment out. They've set up shop. What else? What else we need, man?
Exactly.
So
it's
you're
a
kind of
pretty cool
selling on
gig.
that stuff too, dude. That's fun. That's cool.
It is fun. It's a
Nice.
lot of fun. I mean, after the initial, part that you described, that going up to the door sucks. Like trying to get yourself together to talk to another human, that's the worst part. But once you're in, it's like I leave. I just knock on doors now and I drop off cards. I don't even give them a pitch. I'm like, hey, I'll be in the neighborhood. I just got your neighbor a roof. Call me when you're ready. And
I just got your neighbor a roof. Yes, and
Yeah.
it's kind of an easy pitch. It's like, hey, and I wondered, is this kind of maybe somewhat along the lines of what you do? It's like it's kind of a win-win. So I either get up, I look at it, and reassure you that it looks good and everything's fine, or
Yeah.
I get the process started, and you're not paying for a roof either way. You're either not
Yep.
paying for one because your roof's good to go, and that's great news. That's sleeping
Yeah.
better at night, or you're not paying for one because we'll start doing the
Yeah.
work on the insurance company and get that figured out for you that way. Is there like copay or
It's just their deductible. So that's, a legal thing. They have to pay a contractor a deductible in order for insurance to pay for the rest of it. So as long as that exchange happens, then yeah. So we do need that deductible. So it does cost them whatever their deductible is. But some of
I
these
imagine
people are
that's a little
getting,
steeper than a car
no, like
deductible.
some of these guys are getting roofs for $250.
Oh,
I think
what? Okay.
standard deductible is usually like $1,000 to $2,500, which is still a
That's
great deal. I'm going to put $15,000 a shit on your roof for $2,000. So
yeah,
it's still a
people are
good
cool with
deal.
that. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And even if
That's
I don't
huge.
get on the roof that day, I'm like, hey, if your roof doesn't have the damage today, call me after the next storm, or I'll be back every 3 months. I'll keep coming back and checking it until it is. Because the only ones I'm knocking on are ones that are almost discontinued. So I already know they're damaged when I knock on the door. So that's part of my
Okay.
pitch too. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, you had the same roof that your neighbor had, and we just got theirs replaced with insurance money. I know there's damage up there. The question is there enough? So, I can take a look for free for sure, and I'll let you know what I find. So that's kind of the whole spiel.
No, that's cool. That's a good gig. That's a good gig. I mean, I know that you're working really hard on the media side of things and everything you're doing with, social media and a lot of your I think you're doing like obviously a podcast, you're doing YouTube stuff like that, and I'm sure
Yeah,
that's going to continue to take off and start creating different revenues. But it's almost like that's like a nice soft pad to land on, regardless, to kind of keep in your arsenal. Either way,
yeah,
it's just kind of like stress free. It's not putting too much pressure on this other stuff you're working on, and it kind of allows you to grow it at like a more organic, stress free.
absolutely.
It's not like you're pushing too hard or it feels like too desperate or anything. It's kind of just like everything's kind of just going
Yeah.
as it
When I
should,
start to
man.
get down to a couple, like I got only a few things in my pipeline, like I can go out and sign a bunch real quick, like go refill it real quick, and I can take as much time as I want. Most of the guys that we work with, not most of them, but a few of them, they come to work for like a week or two, and then they're gone out of the country for months. One of these dudes that just, I'll be posting content with it later, but one of the guys that we work with, he just bought a Lamborghini. He had a Lamborghini delivered to his house the other day. And we're like, what
No
the fuck?
way.
Yeah,
Doing this stuff. Okay.
doing this stuff. Yeah,
So I
he's
wonder if you
pretty
could
dope.
almost build like a little crew around you. You know what I'm saying? Like people out there hitting the streets, hitting doors, and they're making money, and you're kind of like overseeing them, and you're getting a piece of all that action too, along with the stuff you're doing.
Yeah, you could. And this industry is just like that. Like if once you're in it, like that's all my feed is a bunch of roofing companies now. Like the whole roofing industry is all saturated with entrepreneurs. Like that's all we're doing. Every one of us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just trying to make our money to do our shit. You know?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's, yeah, dude, that's perfect. It sounds like that's the perfect way to do it too, man. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
And you could do it anywhere. Like I was thinking of starting one in Nevada just so I can live in both places because I still have my band in Nevada. I'd like to continue with them as well,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
that's in the future. We'll still think about that.
Yeah. Wherever you touch down, you got a little setup, and it
Right.
seems like it builds momentum. Like you said, it's like after a while, I'm just going to neighbors. Like you saw the roofing guys next door.
Right.
You're part of the same housing track. You have the same roof that the
Yeah.
construction company built. So, I mean,
It's
let's go.
easy,
Let's
dude.
check it out.
I get a lot of agreements from the roof, like when people are outside, or especially on a build day. Like today, I was building a home, so we make our presence there. You know, we're out, we're all dressed up, and everyone's curious. Everyone's walking by, stopping by, like, "Hey, how'd you guys do that? Oh, I didn't know you could afford a roof." Like, no, we got their insurance to buy it. You want me to take a look at yours? You know,
Yeah,
we got a
dude.
lot of agreements on build day.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Man, that's
it's
cool.
fun. And
That's
then if
way
the home
cool.
has solar panels on it,
Hmm.
insurance has to pay for the removal and the replacement of it, and that is not cheap. So if I get a solar home, it's like double or triple what a normal house would cost as far as my commission.
Wow. So you mean they got to replace the solar panels too then?
They don't replace the panels, but we send a team out to remove them, and then we do the roof another day, and then we send another crew back to put them back up.
So that's more revenue. That's more money that's being spent by the insurance company that you basically get a commission on that. You get a percentage
Right.
or
And once the claim gets to a certain point, a certain dollar figure, then we can get overhead and profit. We can charge an extra fee just for overhead and profit. So like the bigger it gets, the bigger it can get. Like it's weird how it works. Like there's a line that you have to hit to charge for overhead and profit. I'm not sure what it is, but it's huge. And then we charge for more because it's that big. Like it's crazy.
now to be a GC, you have to have so many years of experience doing stuff, right? How does that
I
work
think
out?
that's true.
There has to
I'm
be
not
some
sure
sort
how.
of like a journeyman or apprenticeship or something like that, maybe. I know that's the case with a lot of trades to get like a, to be like a contractor, like a plumbing contractor. And I know electricians, there's definitely like, you have to show
Yeah.
that you've been doing it under like someone who's already licensed. The reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if it does require something like that, it would be good to make sure that you're checking those boxes because at what point are you just
Yeah.
going to be your own GC doing this? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. And there are a ton
dude.
of dudes doing that. There are tons of companies. Like I get a lot of houses that, so like Allstate and State Farm in particular, they deny everything for sure. Like if I find 13 busted shingles on their roof, they're going to approve 13 shingles to be replaced. So they're always going to deny it. And it's a tactic too. All the insurance companies use. Like sometimes they'll send 3 or 4 adjusters out to intimidate the contractor and to
Hmm.
intimidate the homeowners.
I've seen
But they're
clips. I've seen viral clips of guys up on the roof, like
Yeah,
doing
there's
that
been
very
stories like
thing.
we hear stories all the time, like because after the initial call, like I call file a claim, in a couple days they reach out to the homeowner. They're like, "Hey, we're going to send an adjuster out to do an inspection." I go meet him there, but I've heard a lot of stories about that meeting happening, and then they get in an argument on the roof, and then whoever's ladder it was gets down, takes the ladder, and takes off, strands the dude on the
Oh,
roof.
yeah, that's a good lesson. Use your own ladder at all times.
Yep. Some of these guys, like I'll share mine, but some of these adjusters, they'll come out like, "No, you can't use my ladder." I'm like, all right, man, it's cool.
That's better
But
than
as
me.
far
Like,
as
yeah,
the
you can use
license,
it. Just don't let me get down
yes.
first.
But as far as the licensing, you might have to, but I know we operate under one. Like I am using the contractor's license for the company. You know what I mean? But I
What's
don't
the
have it.
company called?
It's called ProCraft Restoration.
And so they're the ones writing your check still. They're the ones cutting your check.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are you a contractor, like where you're having to kind of save your own tax money and do all that, or are you
Yeah.
an employee? Okay,
I'm a 1099. I'm
1099.
all yeah. So I have to do all
So
that shit. I better figure that out.
yeah, dude,
It's
it's
tough.
tough. Like
You get a
let me
bunch of
just go
money.
ahead and
Like how much?
take the better part of half of all this and make sure I'm just not touching it. I'm just freaking
I
cupping
need to do that.
myself away from this. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that stuff will catch up quick. It's not quite half, but if you kind of just set that as a rule of thumb, and then if
Yeah.
some of it ends up going to your pocket afterwards, that's great too. You get a good
Yeah.
accountant,
Even better.
you get a good way of showing your expenses, that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still something I need to get better at. I got some years that I didn't even file. So I got to get a good tax dude, give him a bunch of money and be like, get me current to today, look at all my shit and get me current. And then let's start,
Yeah, absolutely.
Still,
So I know that you set up an entity. You set up a business entity,
yeah.
mostly for the media stuff, right? What'd you call that?
McMedia Network.
McMedia. Is that your main? Is that your only? Are you operating as a sole proprietor for the roofing stuff?
Yes, but yeah, I'm not. The
You
media
don't have
company has
like an
nothing to do with
LLC or anything. Okay, because what I'm
No,
saying
my
is
only LLC is for media.
there might be a play there where, and obviously talk to an accountant or something. There might be a play there where you can start having them cut the check to that name, that LLC name, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can be doing business as different stuff where you can be doing business as your roofing stuff, be doing business as your media stuff. But I think you can still show basically all the money you're spending on this new thing you're doing. You
Yeah,
can say, hey, this is all essentially promoting my roofing stuff. And then those expenses will offset some of the taxes.
that's smart. Because I kind of set it up like that. So right now I get paid every time I get paid, it's my company that gets paid. All the money goes right into my company LLC, and then I pay myself out of that. Or I need to get better at that, but I'm paying with that. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. There's ways to do it. I know there's really smart ways to do it. I've heard of people doing a combination of this gets more expensive to set up,
Yeah.
where people set up corps like S corps and C corps, and there's a
Yep.
strategic way you can set up S and C corps in certain states, at least I think in Nevada, I think you can, where it's called flow through money or something like that, to where your C corp's getting paid, but you are your S corp and you're paying yourself as an S corp from your C corp. And it ends up being this real clever way to do that. That's kind of beneficial tax. There's all this, rich people are smart, dude. All these rich, smart people have figured out all the hacks. And I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure how a lot of that works.
I'm trying to
So
get around these people. That's been one of my big goals the last few years. Like get in these rooms with people that are doing better, so I can learn how to do better.
absolutely. Yeah,
So I've
yeah.
been
And you're
trying to
meeting a
do
lot of
that.
really smart people like that through your meetings and the stuff you're doing with that.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I went to a Rotary Club meeting. I'm trying to get membership into the Rotary Club meeting down here, and I think I'll get in there. But that was cool. Just going there, it was nothing but business people looking to meet each other for business opportunities. Like I'd never experienced that, so it was super cool for me. That's how I got the next author that I'm going to interview. He was the guy who made remember Set It Off, the movie.
yeah.
And there was a movie called House of Cards in the 90s. He made both of those movies. And
Oh,
then
no way.
he's written a bunch of books, but I met him in the meeting. He spoke about his new book in the meeting. And while we're in the mix, just chopping it up with everyone, I went and got a book from him. I'm like, hey, man, I got this podcast I just started. I'd love to interview you. I didn't know any of this beforehand. I started doing research and found that shit out. But he was like, oh, I would love to do the podcast. Like, he was just a super nice guy, super cool dude. And I'm just finishing his book hopefully this week so I can interview him next week. That'll
That's
be cool.
badass. Yeah. I'm sure that guy. You could bounce some. He'll have an accountant you can go talk to or something maybe.
Oh yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so this Rotary Club, you're trying to get membership, meaning that's not. There's like a finite amount of memberships. You have to it's representatives from different industries, right? So you can only have one guy that does this, one guy that does this
I'm
type
not
thing.
sure that's how it works because I talked to the membership leader guy, whoever does that, and I asked him about the process, and he told me, come to one more meeting, and then if you're still interested, we'll get you started on the process. So, and part of the process is I go out to coffee with him and just have a sit down. He gets to know me, kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't seem too hard.
Well, another reason, if there's any expenses associated with that, just make sure you're keeping track of all that stuff because
Right. I
any of
think
the money you're
there's like
spending,
a $30 membership fee or something like that.
it's not too bad. I
No,
want to start looking at
well,
some
well
stuff like
worth it.
that.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
never.
big
So huh? So how
uh,
I got into the Rotary Club, I'll tell you that story. So I was just knocking doors, and I knocked on this lady's door, and we had a great conversation. She let me on her roof. I did my thing, called the claim. But while we were talking, I noticed she had a bunch of musical instruments in her living room. I was like, "Oh, you play?" We started talking about music, and I had a ukulele in the car, and she happens to be like that's her number one instrument. I was like, "Yo, I would love little, show me something here. She's like, oh my God, I just made these. She had a bunch of stuff she just printed out for the ukulele, and she had a bunch of ukuleles. So we did like a 30-minute ukulele lesson and just figured out that our creative minds are very similar. Like she's a photographer. She's an entrepreneur as well. She does photography and all kinds of little projects. And for someone like me in the media space, like, I can film all of that and we can double up the content. I can make content for you, promote you. You're also helping me by giving me content. So, we're working on a few projects with her too. So she was the one who goes to the Rotary Club and she invited me. So that's how I even ended up there.
Okay. So it's like an invitation thing. I wonder if there's stuff. I know there's a real big, there's a, what is that? Chamber of Commerce, I think they call those. There's a real big presence with that, with some pretty prominent people in Ponca City that work with that. I got to start going to some of these things. They have some different events, like every 2 weeks they have this thing. It's called Breakfast on the Balcony. I think they're going to start getting that going now that it's getting warm again, where just different business people, different professionals, entrepreneurs, that kind of thing. They all meet in it's a place called City Central in Ponca City. I've been meaning to go a few times and I've never made it, but I need to start getting out and doing that same sort of thing, man.
Yeah, you're in kind of the media space here, at least the technology space. That would be clutch for you. I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And I need to start definitely getting more outside people for that radio show that I do for my tribe. That originally kind of started where it was going really great, where I was getting different directors of our various departments and the different people that run different aspects of the tribe. But that's kind of starting to, there's only so many of those people and so many interviews. I can do so many things to talk about before it starts sounding redundant or, not as interesting. So I have been reaching out. I've been doing some work with like OSU. They've got a really big presence out here. They're out of Stillwater, which is about an hour from me. And they've got a lot of like community health and community wellness grants and organizations throughout like a lot of the different counties in Oklahoma. So I've connected with a lot of them, people that, try to combat a lot of the, downfalls associated with different types of substance abuse. There's a grant for alcohol. There's a grant for marijuana. There's a grant for, they call it stimulants, but I think it's kind of just addressing
meth and coke.
Yeah. The meth problem, and obviously fentanyl is becoming a big deal with all that stuff too. So each one of those people have their own grant coordinators. So that's made a real good presence where those people want to talk about things, and I've been getting them on the radio a lot. So I need to start reaching outside a bunch and doing that. I've been doing some work with Development Authority, the Ponca City Development Authority, where they kind of want to get businesses to come to the area, that sort of thing. So I think starting to go to more stuff like that. If there's a Rotary Club or just some of these other things that I know are already out there. So saying, hey man, come get on the radio, come tell us about what you got going, any events you got coming up, more about your organization, what you guys do to create community awareness, because in a perfect world, I want to be doing those every week. And I've been lucky to get 2 or 3 a month recently, just unless I just want to do monologues where it's just me sitting there talking, where I'm not that
interested. It's hard to do.
20 minutes of me just rattling stuff off. So it's always better when you can just get like a conversation, get somebody with like just to sit there and talk. And the sweet spot's around 20 minutes because it's a half-hour show. And then after he kind of breaks away to commercial and stuff after the radio people actually produce it. What I'll do is I'll just record. I have a little bit of recording equipment, nice microphones, a Rodecaster mixer, and we just sit down around this table and I'll record it. It's not live, and I go back in afterwards and I'll edit it. If I'm saying too much, or some people, they'll mess up here or there, and I just let them know. I'm like, it's not live, and there's no pressure. If you're saying something, you can just stop right in the middle of what you're saying and be like, you know what? I don't like that. I'm just going to say it over again. And we don't have to stop recording or anything. I just go back in and edit it all out. I use Adobe, Audible, I think. And you'd think it would sound like choppy, like if I'm like literally cutting like words out of the middle of your sentence, you're like, that's not going to sound right for some reason, dude. It just comes together and you can't even tell, dude. It's weird. So everybody just sounds like the best speakers, and like we all sound like we're super legit, dude. It's funny.
It doesn't have a thing where it just automatically takes out filler words and stuff?
I I wouldn't doubt that there's something like that. I
Yeah,
guarantee I'm just barely skimming the surface of the capabilities with that Adobe program. Kind
yeah.
of like I've been messing with Photoshop for a decade at this point, and I'm kind of good at like the stuff I know how to do, but I'll sit and watch like somebody that really knows how to use that stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. Apparently, the self-taught off YouTube stuff doesn't quite go as deep as what some of these guys know how to do. So I'm sure
Yeah.
it's an even. I'm sure I'm even less involved when it comes to the Adobe Audition. Yeah, it's called Audition, I think. And so I'm sure there's something like that, especially when I mean, we're dealing with AI and all sorts of stuff like that now. So I'm sure, I might just be able to interview fake people, man. I just need to figure out an AI program
Oh, yeah, you can program your responses. This is exactly what I need you to say. All right, here, buddy. You can do anything with AI right now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
My
dude. So
brother,
that's
my
fun.
brother's getting deep into it right now. He's been making. I brought him in to help with this company, but he kind of branched off and he's doing his own AI thing. He dove into the AI world, and that's all he wants to do is he create like have you seen all the AI content that's out there on like
Oh
TikTok
yeah, you
and
got the prompt generated stuff.
yeah.
You got Mid Journey. I think Mid Journey is my favorite prompt generated artwork one. Adobe has one, so I've got the Creative Cloud. I got an annual subscription to Creative Cloud, so it gives me access to so many different Adobe products. Adobe
Nice.
has their own little AI prompt generated AI art. It's not horrible, but I would say it's closer to like your earlier versions of DALL-E.
Hmm.
And you look at some of the stuff that like Mid Journey does now, and you're like, not even close, dude. Like, you look at stuff right now, and you're like, is that a photograph? Like,
For real. Some of this shit
like
looks so real. That's
it's like
crazy.
there's a little bit, there's a few too many buttons on that whatever that technology is in the back, so I know it's Mid Journey. But other than that, like
Yeah.
that looks like a photograph of a person right there.
Right.
So I actually want to start getting into that and incorporating that into some of the apparel designs for AWfL because I think the top subscription is like 30 or $40 a month, but if you get halfway comfortable with it, and then as long as I start getting better at the prompts, getting really good at the prompts to where I know that the what's going to be generated through Midjourney is still editable in Photoshop, where I can still make it, print friendly, like direct to garment or screen print friendly.
Yeah.
Because just because you get Midjourney to spit out something incredible doesn't mean that
Transfers.
goes very well on it. So there's a whole game with that, which it would be fun to learn and get really comfortable with that. Because if I get to the point to where I'm kind of on that level, it's curtains. There's some of your top like apparel brands, like some of these guys that are doing it on, Instagram where they got a bunch of followers and they do their drops on there and it's a Shopify store, that kind of stuff. There's people
Yeah.
that kill it with that. And some of the top guys doing that right now, you can take one look and you're like, dude, so much of that is freaking is prompt generated art. But they do it in a way to where it doesn't look corny. And they do it in a way to where it's very symmetrical and it prints in a way to where it still looks good because there's some people that like I got a buddy right now who he's gotten really into it and he's starting to do artwork for like other people that need like artwork for like their single or stuff like that. And you
Yeah.
just take one look, you're like, it looks cool. It doesn't look horrible, but you take one look, you're like Midjourney, AI. It
I
kind of
can't
has
tell.
that look. Well, then you're good
Yeah.
at it. No, but there's ways to do it to where like it's not as obvious right off the rip if you kind of know what you're doing. And I'd love to go down that rabbit hole. Right now,
Yeah.
I'm kind of just at a point where I'm getting a little more comfortable with Illustrator. So everything I do, I use Photoshop for all the stuff I do. For a while, I was actually building the newsletter that I do quarterly for my tribe. I was building that from scratch in Photoshop every page. And it turns
Jesus.
out there's other programs that are way better and make life way easier on that. So
Yeah.
I use Photoshop for everything in terms of like graphic design. And what you start learning over time, it's like the people that are really good at it, the true professionals that are really good at like, especially when it comes to a lot of this like really cool looking designs for apparel and stuff like that, they're doing that in Illustrator. Illustrator's the real program for that because it's more it's called vector art.
Hmm.
So Adobe does like it's pixel based. So you have to make the files really big for everything to stay smooth and clear and not start like really good resolution. It's called resolution.
Yeah. Right.
When you start doing stuff in vector, it's this whole different world to where it's not pixels. It's not like if you zoom in too much, you see the little jagged, like it looks like like 64-bit Nintendo games and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
always smooth, and you can make it as big as you want. You can blow it up to you can stretch it out to fit on the side of a building, and it doesn't get like
And
the
it's still high
resolution
definition.
doesn't. Yeah, it's its own weird thing. So
That's
a lot of
cool.
people do that, and you start seeing like some of the tools and stuff in there, similar to Photoshop in some ways. Your
Yeah.
kind of user experience and the layout you're using. Like I follow a lot of these graphic designers and stuff on Instagram, and they'll be doing a reel where they pull up their screen and they're making letters look cool and doing stuff. And you almost
Yeah.
have to look close and see like some of the tools. You're like, okay, he's using Illustrator. That's
Yeah.
Illustrator. It looks that close to kind of Photoshop. And I'm starting to get more and more comfortable with Illustrator. I do wish if I had it all to do over, I should have just learned day one in Illustrator because it's different enough to where it does have its whole own separate learning curve. And
Yeah.
you don't realize like how much you kind of learn in one world over the course of like 10 years for me at this point. Because it all just kind
Well,
of
then
feels
you
like it's
dive if you
really,
dive into one piece of software, you're like locked in for way too long. Like it takes so long to learn these pieces of software. Good,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Everything comes
it's
with a
fucking
crazy
crazy.
learning curve. So that'll be another good thing for you as you're continuing to network and meet people. Kind of
Yeah.
build your network accordingly to where these different
Right.
skill sets, because your most successful entrepreneurs, your big dogs, they're hardly ever the smartest guy in the room. And if you are the smartest guy in the room, you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
You're not in the
a
right
lot,
room.
yeah, you're not in the right room to where like a lot of these studs, a lot of these big time entrepreneurs, they're very good at what they do, but they surround themselves with like people that are better than them in their own little respective way, and they're a
Right.
good leader. They're good at keeping people together. So that's something to be mindful for you. Like when it comes to things like artwork, or I'm more than happy to kind of help you and take this journey on web design and getting you some websites and some pages and stuff like that going. But
Yeah.
there's people that are good for everything, and I mean, even in your music world, I mean, I know people that can rap really well, but until like they get an engineer in there that like makes everything sound good,
Yeah.
it's
It's
like,
different.
yeah. So same thing with
It's
that.
a
Even
lot
as a
different.
musician, there's people that so yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Same.
kind of
Like
another
we've
exciting
been
thing.
played with a bunch of talented musicians before, and that it doesn't matter how talented you are. Like if we don't vibe in the room, then we're not gonna be able to work together. You got to find people that all like fit with me personally, and then have the
Hmm.
thing that I might want. Like let's work on that shit. But
You were always
yeah,
I remember even back in the high school days, we would record our own little rap songs on like tapes and stuff with little microphone setups on like super ghetto little setups, and you would sound so good on that. I remember we would all be blown away. Like we'd all try so hard to like write stuff, and we were way into like that really like lyrical East Coast stuff. And then you would come in and you just had this different level of talent and the way you sounded, your voice, the way it kind of came across and cut. That stuff always sounded so good. Have you? I know that you kind of got into your genre that you deal with now, which is more like on the rock side,
yeah.
where and I think you've kind of been doing that for a long, long time. But have you ever thought
Yeah.
about kind of diving back into the rap side of things or kind of messing
Oh,
around with
bro,
any of that?
I've recorded me and Jason. I recorded a couple songs last year when I was learning my all this studio stuff that I bought. I was trying to figure it out, but I'm still writing raps. I wrote a couple raps for the band that I'm currently in. So
Oh, you
yeah,
guys kind of break away to.
yeah, there's a couple songs that I just straight rap in. So it never went away.
Nice, that's badass.
Yeah, a lot of my rock sounds like rap anyway when I'm singing my verses. A lot of it when I'm singing fast, it sounds like rap. But I remember back in the day, why I stood out, I think, is because I was like the only one doing like backup vocals, but I'd have to like change the tape to the other side to put another layer of vocals on, or I'd do two or three, but the sound quality would be so low, but the vocals would be dope. There'd be like 6 tracks of vocals on a tape.
Doing your kind of your own backgrounds. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if we just were able to freaking throw Pro Tools on a little laptop or
Oh,
something back
dude,
in the day?
I know. We'd have like
That'd be
30
so
albums
sick.
right now.
You know who goes crazy with that stuff these days is Matt Baker. He's really involved and he does a lot of really good work on the production side for like really prominent, like Northern Nevada, Reno rappers and stuff. So he's been
Nice.
real active with that. I'll send some of his socials to you.
Yeah. I'll
DJ
follow him.
Idle Hands, and he's been doing beats forever. I remember back when he first started getting into that and got a little PC and started getting some of the software and stuff. This
Yeah.
was, dude, this was back when we were probably 23,
9'8"?
24.
Oh, okay.
No, not that,
All right.
but dude, let's see, probably what, 2004,
Yeah.
2003, 2004, and that's been a main hobby of his for this whole time, and he's gotten really good at it and kind of established himself as the go-to guy for a lot of this production stuff. So he's
Dude,
getting
that's
really good
awesome.
at
Yeah.
that.
Hook us up,
And
man.
yeah, dude, I'm sure. And if anything, dude, he could like, and he's actually showed me some stuff. I could go back through some links and stuff and things he showed me. Like, if you just want like a little starter setup, if you want a good software that's free, but you can upgrade it as you continue to need it. You can start
Yeah.
with this, and this, and like, dude, like you could
That's
be
what I
making
need.
your own beats.
Yeah.
And dude, there's a whole world of like you can get on, uh, SoundCloud, even YouTube these days, where they just got free beats, where it's like just
Yeah.
free to use for anything. And some of those things are like, dude, this is insane. This is really good. So there's a
Right.
bunch of ways to go. What are you using right now for some of your studio stuff?
I use Ableton Live right now, and then I bought a MIDI controller
Yeah.
to make beats with and shit. And it's got
You
drum
got the
pads.
punches? Yeah, dude. That's
Yeah.
nice.
And then a Scarlett, what do you call it? Interface, audio interface. It was a package. It came with the mic, the interface, and the cords.
Okay,
So that was only
nice.
like $300. But I bought it all and I didn't know how to use any of it. It took me like a year to get a fucking sound out of the controller, just
Uh-huh.
not knowing. You know what I mean? Like I thought I would plug it in and it would work, but it doesn't work like
No,
that.
you got to get it. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm scared of the whole audio side of things. What I want to start doing is I want to start going on live. I'm not sure what platform. I think honestly, TikTok might be a really good platform for something like this. I see a lot of people doing lives on similar things where I
Yeah.
want to start building online stores for people. Like send me your artwork, email your artwork to whatever. I'll have like a little sign that says email your artwork to this email account. And I'm going through every 15 minutes or whatever, and I'm picking somebody's artwork out of those emails. And I'm going to
Yeah.
build you your own little store where you're going to have your own merch with whatever that artwork is, as long as it's not infringing, as long as you're not like sending me like a Dodgers logo or something like that. It
Yeah.
has to be original artwork. There has to be a few requirements, but I can go through and create a little 5 product store for you that has your own link to where you can just have like send people to that link and they can literally go buy your merch if you want to go buy some of your own merch, that sort of thing. And
Dude.
if it's something you decide you want, I'll reach back out after a couple months and seeing if you're liking it. If you're not, we can kind of take it down. If you are liking it, we can continue and you can kind of,
Yeah.
like subscribe for it and that kind of stuff. But there's people that do that kind of stuff
That's
where
a
they'll
great
like,
idea.
yeah,
I can't
dude,
see that losing.
right? Yeah, get your like,
Yeah.
and everybody's emailing. If you start getting like, if it gets big where there's a lot of people in that room, everybody's gonna be like, do mine, do this, do this, do this. And
Right.
I can only do them
Right.
so fast, right? Like I can't just blast through these. So I think
Yeah.
each store would probably take me like 5-10 minutes, depending on how many products. I've gotten that good and I've kind of streamlined my whole process. Everything I'm using, the programs and stuff I'm using are kind of dialed in to where even be able to like create a store that, let's say you'll have a t-shirt that's available in 4 different colors, small to 4XL, a hoodie available in that many colors, small to 4XL.
Yeah.
And then, we can get you a hat. We can get like just like 4 or 5 core products, and I have everything. Like we can do anything.
Dude, that sounds simple
And,
and lucrative.
and I'll be like, here it
That
is.
would,
And it'll always be like the most recent. It'll be me. It'll be a picture of me, like a video of me. But then there'll be another split screen that shows whatever the most recent store I made, right? And then maybe something
right.
else that shows the current store I'm working on. I'm not going to show people the sauce. I'm not going to show them exactly what I'm doing. That computer's going to be out of sight, but I can have like
Yeah.
the logo, like this is the artwork that I'm currently building a store around for so and so, right? So
Yeah.
and so I picked their email and
The
here we're doing this
process
one.
is good content around anything. The process of doing anything.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
you're
you got these
filming whatever
graffiti
it
guys,
is.
dude. They got
Right.
these graffiti guys. They just do their hands and everybody just in the comments
Yeah.
in the chat, they're just like, do this, and he'll just pick one. Be like, all right,
Huh.
Suzanne, and then he'll write it all sick.
Yeah.
All right, Billy. All right, and then some people like do my brand. Like I had a guy write awful once, and he wrote it so good. I'm like, damn it, dude!
Now
Like
send that to
I
me.
can't even make it look that
Yeah.
good.
Are you still tagging?
I'll mess around with it. If I'm on a phone call or something. The other day,
Yeah.
actually, I took a picture of it with my phone and sent it to my buddy Pat, and we still like share a bunch of like graffiti content, like on Instagram if someone's doing something way sick, like we'll message it to each other and stuff. And
Yeah.
the other day, I just wrote something and I was like, "Oh, dude, that looks pretty good for just doing it like subconsciously while I'm on the phone." And he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good." Do you remember there was a couple guys that wrote BTO in Carson? A couple skater guys. I
I do
wrote
remember that.
this just subconsciously the other day. I wonder if this comes across very well. It's backwards. You can't really tell.
I can see
That's
it.
a
That looks
that's a
cool.
little
Yeah.
BTO weird.
I like it.
Kind of flip it, little throw up letters.
Wasn't it you
Squeezed
that
in
used
on
to
the.
always write that WSK?
No, who was that though? I remember that. There was
Is that
MSK,
Wakefield?
WS.
It might have
Maybe
been
it what
Wakefield.
was it? Okay,
I
Matt.
think so. I write that all the time, like when I'm just sitting
Do
in
you?
class or sitting in a thing. Yeah.
That's
Try.
awesome. I got a
Yeah.
few things I write. Like I'll write AWfL a lot. I'll write that one. For some reason, the BTO is always in the back. It's always subconscious stuff. What else?
Yeah.
We used to do AOS all the time. Yes, for some
BIC?
reason. No, I haven't messed with that. I forgot about that actually.
What?
I
The
should
big
get
click,
back
dude.
in. Big Clint.
We should bring
Yeah,
it back, son.
I haven't talked to Teak in forever. I bet he's still got some remnants of all that stuff. That'd be awesome to see some
Oh
of
fuck!
that
I was on
stuff.
me and Jason Kahn were podcasting the other night, and I've been trying to get him to rap. It took like 6 months for him to write his one verse that we got. I'll share that shit with you when we're done. But
I heard some
oh, was
stuff from him. Did he put it on
did you?
TikTok or something, maybe? Or maybe it was just him
I probably
freestyling.
it might have been him freestyle. We recorded like a half hour freestyle the other night too. I was like, every time we podcast, I want to at least try. We'll put on a beat and we'll just try,
Uh-huh.
just to practice, get the chops back up. Because eventually, I'm going to release that shit, some of it,
Dude, I'll get
when it's
bored some
good.
nights. It's
Dude,
like
we should
my
get
procrastination
everybody
tool.
a what?
Yeah. It's like my procrastination thing where like there's things I should be doing and I'll just
Yep.
be sitting there on my little messenger app, hitting the mic and recording it and just
Yeah.
saying stuff into that, listening to it back. Oh, I could do that better. And dude, sometimes I'll look back through because I'll just write it to myself, right? I'll send
Right.
messenger messages to myself, and there'll be like 20 little sound files in a freaking row. I'm like, what am I doing? Some of that stuff kind of comes out not horrible though. I've even tried it with beats in the background, and some of it doesn't sound horrible. We're friends on
Yeah.
Facebook, right? Yeah. We
I
did.
believe.
Have we messaged on there? I'll find you
I
on
don't know
that, and
about
I'll
Facebook.
send you some of those. I'll send you some of them, dude. They're
Okay.
funny, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, I have like 2 full songs me and Jason made last year. I should probably just release them. I mean, they're not horrible. It's a bunch of beats that
dude.
I made with my little setup where I was just learning it. I was like, oh, I finally
Yeah,
got a bass. Finally got a couple chords out of here.
bro. And
So
for
it's a little
like
ghetto.
intros, outros, background music for stuff and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that, you don't even really
Yeah.
pay that close attention to stuff like that if it's kind of in the distance, to where you just did your own proprietary stuff that sounds good enough.
Right. And we
Set up a little
we
SoundCloud or
record our whole
something.
practices every time we're out there. And so every time we leave practice, my bass player, he goes home and he rips the wave files down and he cleans them up as much as he can just so he can like memorize them. But
Yeah,
he sends them to us, and I've been using them as the intros and the outros and shit
I've
like that.
noticed some of that. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
pretty cool.
That's so cool that you stay in touch with Mr. Khan, dude. Him and I will talk a little bit on Messenger every once in a while. Like I think since I've moved out here to Oklahoma, him and I have kind of messaged a few times. I think on Facebook Messenger, and then I
Yeah,
found him on TikTok, like dude that watches the sky or something.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think, yeah. He's walking his dog and stuff. He's living in Tahoe, right?
Yep.
Nice,
Yeah,
man.
he's with his chick, and his chick has two kids. They've been together forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been a dad, but he never had kids.
right on. Yeah, dog
That's the
dad,
score.
freaking good to his girls' kids. That's awesome, dude. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think who else. Wakefield and I stay in touch. Him and I actually talk all the time. He just texted me right before I got on this. I'm like, I'll hit you up after. So
Yeah, tell him what's up for me, dude.
he's
Link us
Matt
up. Is that
Wakefield. Yeah, He says his
Nate?
brother's doing good and stuff too.
Who,
Nate's the
Nate?
brother. Nate, yeah.
Oh,
I
right, right.
talked to. So, who are you cool with? Probably both of them. A lot of people were cool with both people.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt and I were real close too, but Nate was always cool. Like I was always cool with Nate too. But they
Yeah.
actually get along now. They're like actual brothers, and they freaking.
No shit.
Yeah, dude. They don't want to tear each other's heads off every time they see each
Good
other,
for
man.
them. Good for them. You know.
I'll tell him you said what's up. I'll actually, if you want, I can put him in touch. Like send your contact information. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
that'd be
think who
cool.
else. I know we're recording and we're trying to keep this interesting and kind of usable, but kind of going
It's
down this
fine.
little rabbit hole of like
Like
stuff
you
that like,
said, there's editing always.
yeah, yeah. People will be like, who are they talking about? Except there might be like one or two people like, I know what they're talking about. That's hilarious.
Yeah. There's 3 people on the planet that know what we're fucking talking about. Hey,
Dude,
so
what's up?
I've been wearing this shirt like every day, and
Dude,
I'm
I love it.
struggling to explain the concept to people because I don't really fully understand it. Like I know what vilified means, but what is the verified? Or explain the concept to me in your words.
So that's probably just me not doing a good job of explaining the brand message. I got to get better and better at that. But I mean, if you kind of go to the website, if you follow the funnel and kind of land yourself on the actual GetAWfL.com, a lot of people get there from Instagram or TikTok, but
Mm-hmm.
the message is kind of just like underdogs, like just that person that feels like they're kind of they're I wouldn't want to say down and out, but maybe counted out,
Yeah.
people that are counted out but still believe in themselves and they're kind of on the comeback.
Right.
Everybody loves a good underdog story. The mantra at the top of the website says underdogs unite. And then if you scroll down, there's another little piece that kind of tells the message and kind of the approach that they're taking where it says from vilified to verified, right? So you're that person that was counted out, but you got on your stuff. You had your comeback story, and now you're verified. So
Here,
you
let's
went
look at it.
from vilified to verified. Oh, you can share that. Nice, 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 nice.
Yeah.
So you see,
That's
it
good.
says underdogs unite at the top right there. And that's what a
Yeah.
lot of it is, and then a lot of it's just kind of a play on the AWfL acronym with 4 letters.
Yeah.
Another one of the acronyms is a win for the losers. So
I
that kind
like
of
that.
is another reference to the underdog. If you scroll down to the bottom of that, um,
Oh, I
even
like that.
further down, oh yeah, where they all flip. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right there, from vilified to
Oh
verified,
shit.
and it kind of tells a little bit about that. And that's actually a call to action where I'm trying to get influencers to kind of become a part of the movement as well. But it's kind of
Yeah.
just like an underdog movement where, underdogs unite, people come together. So vilified to verified, it's kind of says vilified on the front, verified on the back. I really
Yeah.
like that just because, it has a message and it's cool, but for some reason I just love those letters and how that came out. It looks so good.
Dude,
Like your hoodie
it's
looks
sick.
so like the stuff you're doing on TikTok, dude, it looks legit. So
Yeah.
there's like all these different ways you can approach it. Apparel seems real basic a lot of times, but I'm finding myself like there's a lot of people that do a really good job with like these different apparel brands and clothing companies and t-shirt brands and stuff like that, like on Instagram. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'll just come across one and I don't even need to know what the message is. It just resonates. Something hits you, something sticks out to you either way, right?
Right.
And I'm kind of trying to dial that in. I've got
I
a
think
long way
you're
to
close,
go.
dude, because the shirt, if you didn't explain anything and I just got the shirt, I already feel that way about it. Like it's kind of
Right.
like, people fucking they didn't think I was going to be shit, but that's kind of how I feel all the time, like I'm trying to
Right,
prove
dude.
people wrong.
Everybody has that. Everybody like has a certain aspect of that. I'm reading this book right now, Pat Bet David. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same message too, like what you just said. Like I'm trying to prove these people wrong. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a lot of what this is too. You'll notice the slot machine one right there. Um, it's it's instead of sevens on the slot machine, it's upside down sevens. So it's L's, 3 L's, and in
Oh,
red below it, it says a win for the losers, right? So
yeah.
it's kind of that. It's that whole thing, which is also AWfL, win for the losers.
That is
Um,
cool.
anything would feel less. Are We Falling in Love? That acronym with 4 letters and like the cool, like retro kind of, more like, I don't know if those are like, that's more of a feminine type of font or what, but on the front of that, it says, Are We Falling in Love? In kind of that same style and that same font.
The
So
blue
it's
one
like
is
there's
this
a bunch
one?
of different ways. Yeah.
I like
I'm sure
that.
if you go to hoodies or something, you want to click around on that. A lot of that's just the store, but if you go to that, there's probably if you go to that individual product, you'll probably see some mock-ups of the front of it too. But
Where at?
that blue one, like you were
Oh,
click that, yeah, click that one, and
oh,
then
that's cool.
click that right there. Boom. No, the other one right there in the middle. Yeah. Now hover over that, and I think it'll blow it up.
Oh shit, that's cool as hell. That does look feminine. Nice.
So it's AWfL, to where
Yeah.
all the stuff is it's all unisex, and you kind of just got to know what size. There's a little diagram that shows you what the sizes are and stuff. But
Yeah.
that I would definitely say that that's probably more geared towards
Female.
females. But dude, I think that's kind of hard. I kind of like that. Like I would rock that anyway.
Yeah, I'd rock that too. I find myself like as I get older, like I really like pink and purple and shit. Like I like
Yeah.
those kind of colors.
Dude, there's a brand right now, and it's kind of using that. It's actually using that same style font, that font, not
Hmm.
that exact font, but there's a lot that are kind of that same style where it's got like that retro, and
Yeah.
it's got a lot of like sans aspects to it, like the little like the tails that are coming off of stuff.
Yeah. Or
There's a company
calligraphy
right
type.
now, and yeah, they've got a brand right now, and a lot of their stuff right now it says "Girls Are Drugs." And it's so hard. It's so sick. That's one of those ones to where it's like I couldn't tell you exactly what they mean by that. I've got my ideas. I mean, it's kind of a straightforward message, but there might be a deeper meaning too. But as
Right.
soon as I see these hats and these hoodies that say "girls or drugs," it just is so dope to me. I don't know why, and I just want to strive for that kind of thing. I want to start getting better and better at this to where I can kind of just come
Yeah.
across like that. I've already come a decently long way with just my little abilities and the stuff I'm able to do. A lot
Dude, the
goes into it,
website
even though
looks
kind of,
fucking incredible, dude.
yeah, that's a CSS and Java website. That's not Shopify. A lot of people use Shopify, and
Yeah.
Shopify is cool because it's cheap and it has a ton of features and it gives you everything you need. But
Yeah.
it's almost too good to be true because you'll never own it. You'll never own your website and you'll never own your data that comes along with the website as long as you're using Shopify. This is on an open source platform that just uses a lot of your traditional website approaches, and I will forever own these files. I own this website. You could
Yeah.
that I could take that website off its current servers that are hosting it right now, and I will still have the database files to where I can take all those files and put that website right back up on a different host the same day if I want. If you
Nice.
ask Shopify, say, hey, I want my website, but I want to host it somewhere else. Can you give me the files? They'd be like, yeah, no, doesn't work like that here, buddy. You know what I mean?
That's our
So
intellectual property.
exactly. And if you don't own your IP with a lot of this stuff, if you're really trying to have big visions with things, you got to think about things like exit. Exit meaning if you ever want to sell it, or get it appraised and see what it would sell for, what it's worth.
Yeah.
One of the main things they look at is, how much of this do you
Ownership.
own?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
So
really
can you
happy with.
take your this stuff and like you have this website? Can you also sell it on Shopify?
Yeah, I could
Like
take any one of these products. I could take any one of these mock-up files and start and fire up a little Shopify store.
yeah.
Shopify is huge. I mean, it's a really good solution for anybody. And this brand isn't even that huge. It's not like I'm doing a ton in sales on this stuff. So it's not like this is too good for Shopify. Like this stuff would all do fine. It would be fine. It's not like a huge difference. But my ability to create these stores that look this good, these websites that look this good, and I'm not using Shopify, I'm using my own platform is
Yeah.
huge, dude. I'm loving
Yeah.
that whole aspect of
Nobody's
it.
doing that.
Yeah,
Everybody's on
and
Shopify.
yeah, because it's easy. And you know what? It's actually supposed to be easy, and that's how they sell it. But something else you'll find is that it's not that. I mean, obviously, there's a much larger learning curve to be able to do stuff this way that this
Yeah.
website is, but there's still such a learning curve with Shopify that there's a very robust market of third-party Shopify designers that I'll
Yeah.
just build your Shopify store for you. And they want a few $100 to do it or whatever they charge. I'm sure there's people.
They're like subcontracting out building
Yeah.
somebody else's. Yeah.
And Shopify's their biggest flex and their biggest sales thing is they're like, this is something you can make it. You know, you can do it yourself. You can make it yourself. And you really
Right.
can't. Or if you do, it's going to look like you made it yourself, you know, until you get good enough at it.
Yeah. I tried to make one and I failed, I'll say. I don't even know what I did it for, but it was horrible. It was terrible.
I tried one a long time. I can't believe Shopify was a thing this long ago. Shopify's been around longer than you think. I tried one a
Really?
long time ago and it was not looking good. I thought it was. This was so long
Yeah.
ago that I didn't really know what a good website was, but yeah, dude, they've been around forever and they've got, I mean, there's a lot of pros. There's a lot of pros to Shopify and they don't have millions of users for no reason, but at the end
Right.
of the day, I mean, it's a privately owned business that has executives, that has owners, and you know, just like anything like that, there's a small group of people that can make a decision that'll affect millions of people. You
Right.
and I talked about this a little bit where, you know, Google, they'll change their algorithm and people will go out of business because they're no longer ranking in search results.
Yeah.
Or when iOS, what was it? I forget which edition it was, but they basically enabled the ability to not be retargeted. So, you know, when you Google something, everybody's like, my phone's listening to me because they'll Google
Right.
something or they'll look into something. And now all of a sudden they're getting ads for that. Like ads are popping
Yep.
up in front of them on social media, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is a science to that. It's called retargeting. So like Facebook, they have these things called events to where like you can find these events. An event is anything that they did that landed them on your website and where they came from, as long as it's, you know, a Facebook owned channel that they came from. And you can, I think is it called Pixel? And you can literally like people like make tons and tons of money just by getting really good at that. Because now you can advertise accordingly. Like you can retarget them over and over. And then iPhone said we don't like Google's ability, we don't like Facebook's ability, we don't like Instagram's ability to retarget our phone users. So we can just it's as quick as it's as easy. I don't know. Are you an iPhone user? You probably
Yeah.
I don't really know what the user experience is like as much, but you can basically say like, no, I don't want them to have my information. I don't want them to, you know, to be able to track that stuff. And so as
Yep.
soon as iPhone did that, there were like hundreds of thousands of Shopify stores that were immediately affected.
Shut down. Were they shut down?
I'm sure there was a ton shut down, but there were people where their revenues like overnight are like, what the hell happened?
Well,
Because
every
I
time you
mean,
download an app or anything, it asked you, do you want to share your data with Facebook or whoever the creator of it was? And there's an option, yes or no. You know,
I would if I had
maybe
the
that
option to say
was
no,
it.
I'm saying no every time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I'm saying no.
there's ways around that now. There's a couple workarounds, but that's just these people. You know, the iPhone execs made a decision. Google made a decision. Shopify can, and I'm sure at some point will make a decision to where it's like everybody's going to hate Shopify. They're going to be like, I can't believe they just did that, and they
Yeah.
don't care. They're doing what's best for their business, whatever that may be. So you want to use open source platforms. A good example is we're talking about phones. That could never happen on Android because Android is open source, meaning if there's any aspect of the phone that people don't like, that maybe the manufacturer of the phone did or whatever, there's developers, they'll create an app, it'll be on the market that day, the next day, that's like, here's the solution to that.
To
Don't worry
fix
about
that
that
one issue,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. There's always, it's like a very democratic platform. And
So
that's the
Apple
same
can't do
thing.
that?
No, I mean, it's iTunes versus Play Store. Like It's much harder
Right.
to get your app in iTunes than like anybody can get their app on the Play Store. That's the
Can they?
Android version. Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Okay.
it's super easy to get your stuff on there. There's no
Hmm.
restrictions aside from like, very malicious stuff, or, it has to be appropriate to certain degrees and stuff like that. But in terms of,
Right.
iTunes probably wants you to be a very accredited, very validated, freaking verified, freaking developer
Verified.
that's jumping through all their hoops and stuff before you can get in their store to a lot of that extent. And
Right.
the platform and the way that I've kind of created my ability to make websites is that very same thing where it's essentially open source to where no one can ever there's no small group of guys in a back room that are gonna with the snap of their fingers like
You're gonna make
hurt
a
you
decision
really
that's gonna
bad.
impact 1,000 million people or something. Right.
Yeah, so I really love that whole concept. I think I want to start branding and creating content kind of around that concept, or maybe something more general, but definitely start with that and maybe start trying to get some people to engage
Around the
with me
open
when
source content.
yeah, around like I can imagine like making a reel or maybe a longer form video that just says compares like something clickbaity, like compares like Shopify to communism or something, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
something stupid like that, right?
Right.
And
That'd be perfect.
and kind of just start that conversation, because I can definitely talk on it for a while and I can make it to where it gets people. I've actually done it on from my awful account on Instagram, where there's these Shopify sellers where they're like,
Yeah.
I'll build you a store, I'll help you get going, I'll help you start your brand, and you'll be selling stuff. And I'll kind
Yeah.
of drop a little bomb, be like, Shopify users never own their website. Intellectual property is a huge part of being a business owner. And I've even had people like, well, talk to me a little more about that. Tell me a little more about that. And I kind of blow their mind.
Oh.
They're like, oh, yeah. So there's a lot of like when you get your business appraised, there's this thing
Yeah.
called multipliers. So your business is what someone will give you for your business. There's a bunch of factors that go into it, but a lot of these factors affect your multiplier. Your multiplier is, so let's say you make $100,000 in revenue. We'll keep it easy. You make $1 million in revenue over the course of 12 months of operating your business. So some people's business is only worth a times three, meaning someone will only give you 3 years of revenue for your business. But then if you're really good at contracts, like your relationships with your vendors and your customers and stuff like that is very diverse,
Hmm.
and the contracts are really well put together to where those relationships aren't going anywhere. Both people are,
Yeah.
obligating themselves to things that benefit both sides, and that all looks
Yeah.
really good. And then your intellectual property, how much of how much of the software do you use that's used to run your business? How much of it is a business to business software as a service that you pay a monthly subscription to, that it's kind of cookie cutter that everybody uses, right? Like, do you use
Right.
Salesforce, or do you have your own program that you created that's your client management software that all the members of your business have exclusive access to, and it is your business's software. So
And
how
it's the
much
only place
intellectual
that it is.
right,
It's
and it's
it's the
created
only place that has it.
only for
Yeah.
your business. It's not like
Right.
an over encompassing that just a couple features kind of work for you. There's a lot of memes right now about this software as a service called Workday, and it's all these memes about like people, as soon as they see that, like there's one meme where it's like a guy and he's getting with a girl. It's a little cartoon. It's like a little four square comic cartoon, and it's a guy meets a girl, hooks up with her. They're laying in bed together afterwards, and then it's a picture on the dresser. And the original little comic was whatever that guy saw on the dresser was like, oh, I thought I knew you, and he leaves. Well, people are putting Workday, and the girl's like a new job, to where it's like they start a new job and they see that it uses Workday and they immediately leave, because I guess Workday, like everybody hates Workday, right? Well,
Okay.
so that's an example of using like a software that your company uses, and I think that kind of is like a CRM software. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but
Yeah.
there's literally, it's so bad and it's so painful to use that there's memes talking smack about it. Well, if you just spent the money, resources, and time and found the right programmers and stuff to build that out for your business, and it's only used by your business, owned by your business, then yeah, now your multiplier starts going up, and you can get your multiplier up to like, I've heard of people getting it at like 7, 8. So it's the difference of
Yeah.
someone giving you 3 million for your business or like, 10 million for your business. Same business,
Yeah.
same revenues. You just do it the way you get that revenue is a lot more attractive to someone that wants to buy that business. So and that's a huge thing with exiting is like you want to at least own your website, dude. Come on. Own your website at least.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah,
How does
there's a
that
lot
work
of,
for support? If someone develops an app for your business only, and when that person dies, then you're kind of screwed, right? How do you get support
well,
for a program?
you, um, it's something
That
that
would
is
be tough.
built, it's something that's built with your company and it's structured into your company to where your IT team is always going to have a very elaborate understanding of how that works, and that's a
Yeah.
huge prerequisite for your. There's usually a uh, there's usually an executive officer. I can't think. You got your CEO, your CFO, your COO. I
Like a
think
technology officer.
there's a CIO. There's a chief information officer, and
Oh
that
yeah, I've
person's
heard of that.
always there's always going to be a person that makes sure that like it's the
Yeah.
guy that makes those
It
things.
stays
He doesn't
up and
hold the
running.
keys. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
The guy that made that, it's not that much of a like it's hard to do and it takes a lot of work and it's a lot of trial and error to get it dialed in directly. But
Oh yeah.
it's not like these people that are able to make that kind of stuff are such wizards that they hold the keys to it. You know what I mean?
I can see
There is
that
some.
though. I mean, I'll make you this great software and then I'm out. See ya.
Yeah, yeah.
Teach you how to use it and then I'm gone.
It's not cheap. Pat Bet
Yeah.
David, you should. I'll send you some of his stuff. I mentioned his book I'm listening to, but he started an insurance company. It was a financial services company
Hmm.
where he was like a financial advisor. So he would help you with your investments, your retirement, but he'd also help you with your insurance, like help you with life insurance and stuff like that. There's a lot of people
That's
that do that
cool.
sort of thing, and there's
Yeah.
people that build up businesses. That's actually what Eric Abowd did a really good job of when we were younger. He built him and Steve Rose. They built a pretty large financial services agency, essentially, where they oversaw a lot of wealth for people. And there's people that grow
Nice.
it, and people get pretty big at it. He started his, and he calls it Blue Ocean Strategy. I guess there's a book. Blue Ocean Strategy is basically like you've got red ocean, where red ocean's like, think of like a feeding frenzy. All the sharks are over here. There's a bunch of blood. Everybody's fighting for the same thing. But what you don't realize is that's usually a really small percentage. There's this whole big blue ocean that no one's fighting for over here. You just got to figure out how to work that angle. And what he
Right.
found was, without butchering it too much, he basically found that there's these really large market opportunities for like Latino culture and families like that, and
Hmm.
multi like bilingual financial professionals. And
Yeah.
he built it up to where it's got like I forget like almost 100,000 agents or something right now, and a lot of them are Latino females and stuff like that have made themselves millionaires being
Yeah.
like financial. And they ended up moving away from a lot of like the investments. So they moved away from like mutual funds and investing in the stock market and stuff like that. And they only do life insurance and annuities. And he ended up growing it over the short period of time to this insane number of agents. And he ended up learning, and I learned a lot of this exit stuff from what he talks about, and him just building his own software that's exclusive to, I think they were called it's called PHP, stands for
Hmm.
People Helping People. He built his
Nice.
own proprietary software that runs all that stuff, that's all integrated and it works together with everything they do, not only the client facing stuff to where clients can log into the portal and look at their accounts and see stuff, but where all the agents can kind of see stuff and communicate with each other. And it's this, I'm sure, and he's like,
That's cool.
he says it costs, I forget, but I want to say something like it costs like, maybe cost like 30 million to create it, but it made his
Mhm.
business worth like another like 100 million or more. He ended up exiting
Significant.
that. He ended up exiting that for like $500 million.
Jesus.
Dude, what?
Damn. What are we doing, bro?
Well, you're doing the right thing because you want to know what he does now. He's a YouTuber. He's got his own YouTube media company, and they're killing it.
No
Him and his
shit.
crew, millions of subscribers and stuff.
Oh man.
It's called Valuetainment. Valuetainment.
Valuetainment?
Yeah. And he's also got the PBD podcast, which is Pat Bet David. I bet you
Nice.
recognize him. You've probably seen him on stuff once you
I
look
probably
at
have.
him. Yeah, dude, that guy's insane. He's intense, dude. Like, he don't mess
Who is
around,
that?
bro. Patrick
We
Bet
went to
David.
school?
No, we don't. We
Yeah.
don't know this guy.
Oh, okay. I was like,
We don't know
I
this
remember
guy.
him, dude.
I was mentioning Eric Abel though and Steve Rose back in the day. They started something similar to that, and they grew up pretty well. And then I think they split ways. I think Steve still does really, really good. I think he's out in L.A. area, and he's overseeing a pretty large amount of.
Steve who?
Rose. I don't know if you remember him.
The name sounds familiar. Is
He
his
was
dad
older.
Dr. Rose?
Yeah, he was older than us. He was real good at baseball, good athlete. I think he was good at some other sports. I remember Little League, he was one of those guys that was really good. He was always really cool. I worked with them for a while. Like I did like an internship with them when I was younger, so I kind of learned a lot about all that stuff. And
Nice.
he was always really cool to me. He's a real cool guy, but yeah, so it was that much more impactful when I started learning more about this Pat Bet David guy's story because I've kind of been in that industry a little bit, and he's right. There's like everybody just wants to find very affluent people of a certain demographic to be their financial advisor, right?
Right.
Well, he's like, no, there's this whole other world. And if you think about it, it's like, dude, there are so many hardworking families of all different types of, ethnicities, races. Like I know, I could off the top of my head, like there's this guy that runs his own handyman service. He's also a contractor for a couple trades, and he has a bunch of employees under him, and he barely speaks English, and he drives a beautiful car, has a big old house, has a business that freaking does tons of money every year and stuff. And
Nice.
that guy needs like a financial advisor, right? He needs someone to show him life insurance and investments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of your people in that industry wouldn't even think to go talk to that guy, right?
Right.
Well, Pat Bet David's like, no, there's this whole world out here. There's this blue ocean of people that can use services.
That's so true, man. I meet a lot of like houses I go to. You would assume like they don't got any money, and then they're buying the best of the best shit from you. Like they have a, in their garage is a whole different world of something that they're doing, but their house from the outside looks like shit. Like you never know with anyone until you get to know them a little bit. Some people, they just be packing hella money, dude.
Yeah. And watch, as you keep doing that, as you keep learning this and kind of seeing these outliers to you're like, there's something to that. There's like a method, there's like a pattern to this or something. You'll figure it out at one point. You'll be like, wait a sec. Here's who I need to target. I need to target X, Y, and Z, not only because it works out really well and I do great business with them, but because no one else is going to these people. No one else knows to take this approach, right? So yeah,
I love that concept. I'm gonna dive deeper into that because
there's a book. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy or something. Check it out.
I will check it.
People tell me to read books, but
I read a lot of books.
Do you?
That's good. Nice. Well, I try to. Especially
I got a little bit of a commute where I drive like a half hour to and from work, so I'll just get audio books.
Yeah. I wish I had all the books and audiobooks. I produce audiobooks, right? I've been doing that too.
Yeah, you do some voiceover work. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I want to get more involved in that. There's a lot, on Fiverr or Upwork. There's a lot of people that just want voices, over their shit. I can do that all day.
Yeah, there's those freelance sites, Elance, Fiverr, Upwork. I think there might be platforms that are specifically for the voiceover industry, or
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure it's called like voice services or something. Not only I say voiceover, but for some reason I also mean like people that do audiobooks and stuff like that too. So
yeah, I'm sure there is. It's just finding the time to do a book is, man, I can't right now.
yeah, I can only imagine because it's a lot of takes. You don't realize, like this one I'm listening to right now, it's long. There's like hours and hours and hours of this. And
Yeah.
For every hour of listening time, there's probably like 1.5 to
4.
2 hours, really, yeah, of the guy doing.
Or if
Yeah,
you're slow
exactly.
like me, I'm slow. So it's like an hour of finished produced audio is like 4 hours of work.
No way.
That's what it seems like. I'm getting
Wow.
better, but it's hard.
Nice, dude. Nice. How long we
Yeah.
been going here? Oh shit, 84
A
minutes.
long time. There's
All
enough.
right, dude.
There's plenty.
Cool, bro. Well, hey, let's call it for this, and let's get back on here. There's a million more things we could talk about, so we'll keep doing this.
Yeah, we could do this regularly, dude. Let's
Absolutely.
do it, actually.
Yeah, because I got a few things that I'm kind of just right on the cusp of, some things I'm working on that I'll be able to, that I'll want to talk more and more about as I keep kind of developing stuff. So
You want to
we
try
got
to do it on like a schedule?
sure, sure. I don't see what's
Tuesday
wrong with
evenings?
Tuesdays. Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with Tuesday evenings.
Does that sound like a deal?
And then if things come up at any point, but
Yeah.
let's give something to shoot for, and then we can
Yeah, we could
keep
play with it
doing
from
this,
there.
dude.
I'll just set this at weekly.
Trying to set some more stuff up in this little room with lighting, and I need like some good microphone stuff and maybe a nice little camera. So I want to keep developing this too.
Yeah, I'm going to start getting more gear. I mean, I just got the computer for Christmas, and I need another screen. I need better audio. Like, this stuff is almost done. I need some good shit now.
Yeah, I'm sure I sound like crap, or it probably doesn't look that good. I'm looking like it looks like I'm pretty good definition from my point of view, but I don't know if that's coming across to you that good.
It is. You look high def to me. Like, my camera sucks now. I'm thinking about getting that. No,
Dude,
you're
this is
coming
just
at
a
your.
phone too.
Yeah. You're using a phone?
Yeah, this is an older Galaxy. This is a can't remember. It was like the nice one 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Nice.
maybe. And this is the front facing one. You know what I found is you get a lot more out of the resolution of your camera if you mess around with a little bit of lighting. Like I just got this little ring light, and there's ways to soften. Like you want the light to be really strong, but I'm learning then you take that strong light and you soften it. It's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just get a dimmer light? No, there's this whole thing to it. I've been going on that rabbit hole.
Thank you guys for tuning in for today's episode of Almost Above Average. I hope you enjoyed our insightful conversation with Lonnie Doyle, the creative mind behind AWfL Clothing Line. Don't forget to check out AWfL's unique designs and sustainable fashion practices. You can find the links to AWfL Clothing Line in the podcast description below. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider giving us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us. For feedback, suggestions, or just to say hello, feel free to reach out to the show at mcmedia.network.llc@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, you can watch more episodes of Almost Above Average on Spotify and wherever you get you podcasts. Stay inspired, stay creative, and until next time.